If you were a successful black entrepreneur in America and you started doing too well, they either legally or illegally took you out of business. So this isn't about we don't know how to do business, but it's also not about things were better when we could only sell to ourselves. Reginald Lewis, TLC Beatrice, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Oprah. Name the billionaires. Because you got to start thinking billionaire, y'all. Multi-billionaire. You're not going to become a billionaire only selling to black people. If you're not constantly reading and educating and inspiring yourself through books, not just on Instagram. I know I'm very aspiring on Instagram. Don't follow your dreams, follow my Instagram. I know, you gotta read. Constant education is what an entrepreneur does. You're never gonna know enough. Everything keeps changing too fast. So if I mention a book, if Lamar mentions a book, if any of the speakers mention a book, you need to get that book and read it. And if you have the book, you might need to read it again. So there's a book called Black Titan. And the author of that book is the story of A.G. Gaston, one of the first great black millionaires in America, who did it in the Jim Crow South of Birmingham, Alabama. He didn't have TSP Live. He didn't have minority set-asides. He didn't have programs designed for diversity. He lived in a society where at any point in time, the established legal and social structure could take everything from him, like they did in Tulsa, Oklahoma when they burned down Black Wall Street, at any point in time. And his lesson, this is the first lesson of Millionaire, Billionaires, and by the way, I knew him personally before he died. He lived to be 103, I think. He still went to work until he went to work every day till he died, but he cut to half days when he had a stroke at about 99, and he cut it back a little bit. Sharp as a tack all the way through. The measure of a man and woman, but you said man, is not how much money they make, but what they do with that money. What are you doing with your money? If you're spending it all, you're not doing it right. It's about wealth accumulation. So A.G. Gaston's book, Black Titan, is a must-read book for you to understand what it means to get through adversity when the game is totally stacked against you. Because guess what? The game is still totally stacked against you. I'm going to fast forward to Don Peebles, probably worth $600 million on his way to being a billionaire probably by next year. One of the top real estate developers commercial in the country with buildings in Miami, Baltimore, New York. He's in Charlotte now, which is why we just interviewed him at the Entrepreneurs Conference in Charlotte last week. He says, here's what you're facing as an entrepreneur. And this is the wealth mountain you're climbing. What you're being told by mainstream, by America, that's telling you everything's good now and racism is post-racial and everything's good, it's the Indy 500, this is the example he gave, and you got the same car as the other driver, you got the same skills as the other driver, you got the same talent as the other driver, you got the same education as the other driver, but that driver's starting on lap 400 in the Indy 500. I think money all the time, that's why when I think 500, I think fortune, but sorry. And you're starting out on lap 1. And then they're telling you it's a fair race because y'all got all equal tools, and equal skills, and equal education. If you don't get serious about this wealth accumulation thing, not just the making money thing, but the wealth accumulation thing, that every time you measure your net worth, it's creeping up, it's creeping up, it's creeping up, you're not getting it done. Another thing Don Peebles said, it's never too early to teach your kids business and finance and money. We got to stop this or we don't talk about that. Your kids need to know how much money is coming into the house. They also need to know where it's going. One thing, it'll hold you accountable because especially your teenagers, they have BS monitors and they won't want to hear it if you're being hypocritical. So, yeah, you may have to coach them that this is not something they go tell all their friends at school, but they need to know. Because at some point, whether you do it accidentally or on purpose, you're going to hand that over to them and either they're going to blow it or they're going to build on it. Donald Trump didn't start out from scratch. No matter how much he talks about how brilliant he is. His father spotted him $600 million to get going. As Don Peebles said, he was driving a car where he could crash his car, get a new car, and still be 300 laps ahead of you. All right? So you got to understand this is a multi-generational deal. It ain't going to happen in your lifetime. It's not. But you got to lay the groundwork for it to happen. Now, let me say this. We are better off than our parents and grandparents are. When people talk about, things were better during segregation, you're on crack. Sorry, you are on crack. The reason why we could not build any wealth in America before, let's say, the 1970s is not because we didn't know how to do business. It's because we had no social, legal rights to protect what we built. Black people invented stuff. We couldn't either get a patent or protect it. We built communities, including Tulsa's Black Wall Street, and that was the worst example. They just tore down the whole thing. That was the first time in American history that they bombed their own town in an American city. Do you know they dropped bombs in Tulsa? So, but even if you take that, that's the most egregious example. But if you were a successful black entrepreneur in America and you started doing too well, they either legally or illegally took you out of business. So this isn't about we don't know how to do business, but it's also not about things were better when we could only sell to ourselves. Reginald Lewis, TLC Beatrice, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Oprah, name the billionaires. Because you got to start thinking billionaire, y'all. Multi-billionaire. You're not going to become a billionaire only selling to black people. If I'm lying, tell me. There's the late, great J. Bruce Llewellyn, who owned 4 BE 100 companies at one time on the Black Enterprise 100, nation's largest black business with. I can't become a billionaire selling to only 12% of the marketplace. So if your mission is to serve black people, nothing wrong with that. But don't limit yourself. You may have to start some other things that are extensions of the mission you serve to serve other markets so you can build these businesses. We look at our spending power. Depending on who's counting, between 1.2 and 1.6 trillion dollars. Sounds like a lot of money, right? We think we're doing good. 2 problems. That's measuring spending. We're spending it. Nobody tells us how much we're making against that we're spending. We know we're not making 1.2 trillion because we're in debt. Again, we have to spend less than that 1.2 trillion to accumulate wealth. But here's the other thing that people don't tell you. If you gave every black person in America a cut of that 1.2 trillion, how much would I be giving you? $28,000. Stop kidding yourself. Stop looking at income. Stop looking at your spending power. Look at your net worth.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Traffic, Sales, and Profit podcast. Don't forget to download and subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. Also, visit us at www.trafficsalesandprofit.com/podcast. On that page, you'll have all the links to follow us on social, me at Lamar Tyler and the at Traffic Sales and Profit brand, in addition to information on our upcoming events, information on how to get a free copy of my paperback book, and more so that you can be the best entrepreneur possible. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next episode.